We are the one, the light in the dark. One heart, one world, one spark. We are the one, together we rise. One dream, one voice, one sky.
Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of Women Empowered Across the World. And this is our podcast. And I have amazing hosts with me, Megan from South Africa, um, Raksha from Miami, um, Melissa from Texas, and I'm going to get this right, Jackie from Arizona, but global, and Renata from Brazil originally and now in the US in Portland, Oregon. And we have our guest today, Suzi, and it's Abadi.
That's
Okay,
correct.
Suzi Abadi, and we are so excited to hear her story, and we know it's going to inspire many. So, Suzi, come join us.
Thank you, Carol. Thank you, Raksha, for this opportunity to share my journey. And it's a real privilege being here. Thank you very much. So my name is Suzi Abadi. Throughout my career, I've been in finance on the trading floor and as operations. It's never fulfilled me. And what happened was during COVID, I was on a leadership program. It was a time where I was evaluating life and I wanted to give back and leave a legacy. What is my life about? I want to live a life of purpose. And so I entered a leadership program where we had to create projects on a large scale. And applying for the program, it was a year program, we had to write it looking back at our lives, 10 years forward, what have we accomplished? So I wrote that myself and my partner will be traveling around the world in rural areas, and we're working on large sustainable projects with children in under-resourced areas, and we're impacting their future. It was vague. It was vague, but that's what I wrote. And so I entered the program. Every 3 months, we're creating projects. And we had a committed colleague who said, Suzi, now what? Well, you've done a wonderful, incredible project. 3 months has elapsed. What's next? And so I said, I really don't know. He said, let's look at your application form. And so we did, but lucky it was a phone call. I was rolling my eyes like, this is a pipe dream. This is going to happen. This was my internal dialogue. One day, maybe when I retire, when there's money in the bank and when I have time, maybe. So never expressed other than the application form. Yet we looked at it together. He said, and he asked me questions and he listened. And he said, okay, is that a school program? Is it an after school program? So he prompted me to think. And I said, yes, it's an after school program. Is it virtual? Is it physical? Huh? It's a virtual program. Okay, what is it about? I said, well, that children and youth can be whoever they want to be, no matter what their circumstances. It's not dictated by how much money there is in the bank, no matter what their age. We all have the ability to be leaders. And so he drew it out of me. And and then he said, okay, so now what countries where you're going to operate? And I said, Peru. It was arbitrary. It was arbitrary. I don't even speak Spanish. He said, okay, well, this project is not big enough. It's one phone call and it's not going to get passed. So I added more countries. Okay, Colombia. He said, that's 2 phone calls. It's not big enough and it's not going to get passed. So I said, until I got to, okay, 5 countries. He said, okay, you're getting warmer. And then I said, but how? He said, that is the pitfall. It's not about the how, it's the vision. And I kept going to the how. And he said, you keep going there. All right. So I said, okay, I was totally excited beyond. And we had an aim, excelling with velocity, accelerator. So that's what accelerator is about. So and then I ended the call with, but how? But how? This is nuts. But how? And then I stopped myself. It's not about the how. You've got to start somewhere. And so I from there I contacted people on LinkedIn. I did some research, people who are making a difference in that space through alumni, and I started making a list of people I wanted to speak to, and I reached out to them on LinkedIn, and they gave me the space. And 3 months later, we launched our pilot program. So we were building the plane and flying it at the same time. I knew roughly what I wanted in the curriculum, but so yes. And at the time I thought I was dragging my feet and that I was taking too long, that it could have been achieved. And looking back, I thought that was quite an accomplishment within 3 months. And so since 2021, since we launched our first program, we're now entering our 9th program. What Accelerator is a 10-week virtual program led by a talented classroom leader with extensive skills in coaching on large scale and making a difference already. And so it's led by a classroom leader, and we have a team of interpreters and coaches. So each youth is assigned a coach. So over 10 weeks, and how we do that, I'm going back, is that we collaborate with local NGOs. We currently operate in 5 countries: Guatemala, Mexico, Peru, Colombia, and Ecuador. And so we built a relationship with these NGOs, and they love what we're doing, and they see the massive impact. And every cohort, they provide us with youth who fill out a survey, and they're the ones, the local facilitators are the ones who are speaking to the parents, speaking to the youth, and they bring us the youth. And typically each program has about 30 youth. The purpose is that it's from multiple countries. That's what the concept was, that I wanted multiple countries, youth from many countries, so that they can collaborate and share ideas. And so what it looks like is each week, the classroom leader will introduce a leadership skill based on the foundation being your word, keeping your promises, what happens when we break our promises, and so that we build credibility and trust, which is the foundation of leadership. And we build on other skills. Well, it's conversation and style, and it's over 2.5 hours on Saturday mornings. We have them, most of them walk in shy. They're from 9 to 13, many of them in rural areas. And so if they have internet, of course, it's a requirement to be in the program, is either the parent lending them the phone, it's shared with the entire family, and the parents are sacrificing their phone for the morning to give to their youth. And so, as I said, most of them walk in shy, and it's so beautiful to see the development every week, because we will break the ice and have them share or read a slide. And of course, we acknowledge them, and they build confidence. And in between classrooms, they're assigned an assignment, and they have a group call with their coach. The coach will be assigned 4 or 5 youth, maybe from the same country, maybe from different countries, and who roots for them. And so and then they create a project from their hearts. Again, it's not about the how. It's even assignment 1 or 2 is, if you had a magic wand and could make anything happen in your community to benefit the community, what would it look like? What would that make possible? And they find the courage, to deliver on their projects, because we're all rooting for them. We do public speaking, pitching. You know, if you're in the elevator with someone who can make a difference, 1 minute, and we guide them through. And towards the end of the program, we invite entrepreneurs, we've invited ambassadors to come and speak and listen to their projects and elevate it. So to date, we've had over 170 youth go through our programs and successfully completing the programs, each one having created a project, whether it's building a well so that their community can access clean and safe water, or whether it's protecting animals, or whether it's planting trees and planting fruit and vegetables so that the community can come and eat, and having the entire school collaborate and finding the courage to pitch to their classrooms and to their principal, and having some have had spoken on local television, public on international national television in Ecuador, and so it's incredible, and each youth has impacted possibly 1,000 people, each one having created a project. So that would be 170,000 people impacted. And so our vision is to grow and to impact more youth, growing to Brazil, going to other countries, and having the funding so that they can, a small amount of money, a seed money, they can impact their communities even more. With one youth in Ecuador, he was 9 years old. He was a stand that every student had a book, because he said, we're not set up successfully. We're sharing one book with 5 other students. And he said, we can't buy these books from the bookstore because we have a certain curriculum given by the government. And so what he did was he did a fundraiser, and he fundraised such that every youth in his class had he was 9 years old, he photocopied it and bound it, and each one had a book, etc. So we're very proud of what we accomplished, and thank you for allowing me to share this my story, my journey.
Beautiful, absolutely beautiful. Well, we already have somebody that has a question. Raksha, you want to ask your question?
I don't have a question, but Suzi sells herself short. She did not mention that it's not just those one youth that she impacts. We've had people bring in their siblings. We've had people share these leadership skills with their parents. She's got one person that's doing this from classroom 1, like from cohort 1, and he just keeps on bringing people in. He's just like a magnet. He's sharing this with everyone. He started off when he was 9. He's now in his teens, and there's coming a time when we have to say, you're an adult now. We can't have you here. But he just enrolls people and brings people in. So she's amazing at what she does. These youths have created pathways for aging parents, grandparents. They've cleaned up their towns of garbage. One person even took on the local gangs, or whatever you want to call them, and stood up. And it all came out of the programs that she has created.
Wow.
So
Beautiful.
she sells herself short. She's amazing, has some wonderful connections. And my reason to bring you here, Suzi, was for you to partner with these amazing women who are making an impact in other parts of the world. And you can all kind of collaborate and work together to make what you want to see in Latin America grow even faster. So this year's goal for Suzi is to expand into Brazil, and she's doing it amazingly. I'm so proud to be a part of what she has created and supporting her with her curriculum and stuff. So it's been amazing.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Okay, we've got Jackie. She has a question for you, Susie.
Well, it's obvious that we have all of a sudden taken on an entirely new continent, because everything that you're doing is what Carol is doing in Africa.
Mhm.
It's almost identical in about 3/4 of the entire thing. So logically, we have totally taken on another whole continent in one fell swoop, which is beautiful because I think although the commonalities are more extreme than anything, I think you might be going a little deeper than Carol does in another way in the classrooms and that type of a thing, which the learning between the two will be beautiful because that combination will really kind of solidify a whole new world. So
Whew.
yeah, I'm really very excited that you have brought her. Of course, obviously being on our schedule, I know Raksha would have liked to have had her earlier, but it's so obvious to everyone on the screen that you have mirrored Carol's program. So question, I guess. What do you, as I always say, what do you need now?
Funding, for the most part, it's been self-financed, except for the last two programs. So on a shoestring, we've been able
Yeah.
to, pay the classroom leader, and I'd like to pay the volunteers a stipend. So, and funding would allow us to give seed money to the top students so that they can really impact their communities with a little bit of money, and it will allow us to market better, and funding will be a huge a huge way forward.
Yeah. So they
And
don't,
then
there's no
connected.
charge to them to
No,
take it,
we don't charge the youth. No, 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 no.
nor the NGO.
Some of them don't have running water in their homes.
Yeah.
So how
Yeah.
could I possibly charge?
Yeah, of
No,
course. Yeah. I
no,
didn't know if maybe the NGO was paying something to have you come in.
no. We haven't
Okay.
created that.
I
No.
mean, they could make it part of their grants that they're getting for what they're doing. It would not be much, but it certainly would be enough to be able to get you supported in any way if you add them all up together. I would suggest that you work on possibly being part of their grant because most of them are probably using grants as a sustainability. Of course, the other logical and obvious to me is with all these little projects that the students are doing, if you were able to take any kind of a very small percentage from any of them that are working in the population in some sort of a income producing for that student. I mean, if that becomes a vocation, when you collect maybe just a very small fraction and put it in a group, then you're being funded too. So there are kinds of creative ways based on the talents of those that are there. There could be microcredit added to that whole thing, which would totally change all of it as well. Have you done any microcredit?
No, I haven't done that. I
So you
haven't
can
done.
see there's a lot to explore.
There's a
Um,
lot. Thank you, Jackie.
Yeah.
Within 2 seconds, you've given
Susie,
so many
make sure you put your information in the chat.
Oh,
It's
yeah.
open to everyone, guys. Please put your information in the
Good.
chat so we can all reach out to one another. Okay. All right. Megan has a question and then I have one. Go ahead, Megan. Oh, and it looks like Melissa has one. Go ahead, Megan. You are muted, Megan.
Sorry, there we go. Now I found the mute button. Susie, thank you so much for sharing your story with us. Deeply inspiring, especially to myself. I've just registered my nonprofit a month and a bit ago. So I've been building up to it for a while, but some of our viewers and listeners are sitting there going, okay, so this has been Susie's journey and this is how far she's come in this space of time. what is that one piece of advice you would give someone listening in or watching this episode that can get them inspired to follow that dream that they might have that matches what you and I are doing, perhaps? What is that one thing that you would just say? You mentioned earlier in your introduction about, just taking off and building the plane on the way down. It happens on the fly. But is there anything else you can advise them to do or to be thinking about that will actually get them to that space sooner?
Well, sharing is key. With how it worked with me is that I shared with people I totally was inspired by and who were entrepreneurs, and when they said you're onto something, or yeah, this sounds fantastic, I guess that I ran with it. And you're with any project I've done, and I'm sure you'll find the same, you're not going to know all the ins and outs, and perhaps if I knew what it was going to take, perhaps I wouldn't even have started. But the program I was on, it was creating a vision and working backwards. Like, it removed the doubt because it's already happened, they said. And I said, okay, let's test this model. I've never worked like this or tested this model before. And I worked with a team because, no one has so many skills, and is an expert in every field. Of course not. We're experts in some things, but not in others. So you bring others. Once you have, you crystallize your mission by sharing with others, and they'll say, this is what's missing, this is what's missing. But don't be deterred, don't be put off, because it's a calling.
Absolutely. Thank you
Beautiful.
so much.
Beautiful.
Absolutely.
Okay, so my question is this. We, just like Jackie said, we absolutely have a similar program. I'm in Africa. I don't charge for my program either. Okay, it's free to all of Africa. And I don't charge my students in the youth empowerment program unless they come from the US or the UK. So I do charge outside of Africa. Okay, but I've given my word that I won't charge for my programs in Africa. So what I'm looking at is actually creating a fundraising department of my program, a fundraising area where we continue to look in how we raise funds. And that's, so I wanted to just offer that to you because it sounds to me like you and I are running in the same direction here. And, I fund most of everything I do. And so I want to make sure that, that now it's time. Now it's time for me to set something up and have an actual fundraising team that we continue to look to see how we bring funds back into the program and to our projects, because I have amazing projects that have come out of my youth empowerment program, as you have. So so I just wanted to offer that to you because this is my next step. Okay. And I want to work with you in some way. I want to be where you are in your countries. I want you to come and be in our countries. So there is a way for us to collaborate. Don't know what it is yet, but Suzi, you and I will be working together in some way or another, because we just, oh my gosh, it's like we have the same brain. Inside of what you've created and what I've created, they run so parallel to one another. Mine is strongly based in mindset, because the mindset is where everything starts or doesn't start. And youth mindset is so vital because they're just growing and they're just starting to pull in their beliefs and what they believe and what they don't believe. And they're not fixed yet. So they're very open to seeing new ways of seeing things for themselves and creating new ways of seeing things for themselves. So I look forward to working with you. I will be reaching out to you. I'm going to go and get my information and put it in the chat. Please, let's do a Zoom and figure out what we might be able to do together, because I want to be in your countries. I'm not anywhere in that area at all, and it's one of the things I want to do for this year if I can. So
Love it.
I do
I love
2 courses a year, and I don't know how yours run. Mine are
2 years well. 2
oh,
years.
oh my gosh. Yeah. And when did you start yours? How long ago?
March 2021. Is that when you started?
Actually, May. March was when I started putting it together. May was our first youth empowerment program. Yeah. That is absolutely wild. Okay. Anyway, thank you. Thank you so much for what you do. Thank you so much for what you do.
Thank you for this opportunity. It's been
Yeah.
wonderful, and all the advice and tips and all the
Oh,
potential collaboration with you, Carol.
oh, it's going to be amazing. Absolutely amazing. Okay. We have Melissa, and I'm going to go get my information so you can have it. Be right back. Melissa, go ahead.
Suzi, let me acknowledge you for setting aside having to know the how for your vision for the legacy that you want to leave. It takes a lot. And I'm so glad that you did it. And what amazing opportunity for these kiddos. So I have a couple of questions. Well, one question and one recommendation, really. So one, are you following these kids over time in any way to see progress
Good.
that you can
Good.
report back, create case studies, and share with
That's
the
good.
world? Like, look at these, look at the the evolvement of these leaders, right?
You recognize the gap, the pain point. That said, you're right, that will be a game changer, and that is the next level. That said, we do invite past participants to come in as guests, and so they'll share their journey and what they're up to now.
Yes.
But do I have matrix? Am I up to date in what they're doing over 5-year period with all the youth? And no, and I would love to.
Got it. And it could be a simple survey that goes out, once every year, once every 6 months. And then also, is there an opportunity for those youth? You said that they can come back as a guest. Can they take a refresher, redo the
Yes.
program? Okay, great.
Yes. The criteria is 9 to 13. That said, for cohort 10, we want to do something special, and we're thinking of inviting just invitation only. It's just we're exploring the idea, but definitely cohort 10, which will be in the fall, we want to do something different. So, but in answer to your question,
Sure.
yes, they're invited back. They're more than welcome to come back.
Oh, that's amazing. And then along the lines of funding, like Jackie was mentioning too, what about those entrepreneurs that are contributing their time to the kids and listening to their pitches? Is there an opportunity for them to financially contribute as well? Is that something you make available to them to sponsor or to contribute?
Yes, they're part of the database, and I send them newsletters, and but they contribute hours, coming in, listening to the projects, and sharing as well. So
Yeah, and they would probably do more if they could. So, could be a financial opportunity there for you just to ask.
thank you so
Thank
much,
you so much, Suzi. Great meeting you.
Okay. Okay, Renata, go ahead.
Hi, Susie. So, yeah, as I told you, I am originally from Brazil, and I would love to connect with you after to see if I can, add with some organizations that I worked with in Amazon. And my question for you is, well, actually, I have two questions. First of all, is how do you measure the success of those kids? And the second one is, as I told you, that I work with planetary health, and you mentioned that some kids have projects for water or animals or things like that. Are those projects always related with something related to planetary health?
The projects are related to whatever they're passionate about and where they want to make a difference in their community, whether it's putting a light because walking out is not safe. And there are gangs and creating a system, speaking to the local mayor or getting a petition together and having 100 names on there. So it's not, it's whatever they're passionate about, and that will benefit the community. And with regard to measuring the success, well, we monitor, of course, the attrition rate, if there is attrition, who is sharing in class, how they started, are they engaged, are they speaking, are they doing the assignments? It's pretty obvious that there's a transformation from classroom 1 to classroom even 5 or 6, that you see the courage it takes, and we're brought to tears. There's never a dry eye in the room because what they care about is more important than them being scared, petrified to speak to whoever or do the project. And yet somehow they find the courage to do it. So that's how we measure the success, whether they do a project or not, but they all do a project. And regardless, they're walking out with skills for life, that
Beautiful. So,
Okay.
Suzi, we have one more question and then we have to end. But I just want to ask you something, and that is this. Are you recording your classrooms? Do you record everything
yes,
you're
we
doing?
do. We do.
Okay, because a lot of what I do is I go in and I edit all of those classrooms and pull out testimonies and pull out amazing
Wow.
pieces. And then
Wow.
yes, so that's something you want to look at doing. If you have somebody that can do editing, which is what I do, you could have so many
Wow. That's
amazing,
mind-blowing.
yeah. Okay.
That's cool.
So that's a lot of what I do. And then I have a YouTube channel and I put stuff out. I put it everywhere. Okay. So, and you and I will talk. We will definitely work together. Okay, Jackie, go ahead.
Yeah. How much vocational do you give them?
How
Other
much?
than going into other than obviously going into the community with projects, but since your ages are 9 to 13, what type of education do they have to have their own career or their own entrepreneurial whatever? What vocational education? Do you have any toward that?
Well, it would be they gain confidence to do what they set out to do. So we give them the confidence, and they learn, as I said earlier, pitching, and pitching to their friends, to the community, having people on board. When you learn that and you have that skill, you can do anything.
Yeah, but it's not formally working toward any type of a career where we have
Correct,
that,
correct.
which would be what could be added to what you're doing, whether it is like step one, step up dot one with Anise, or there are various countries that are teaching them agricultural, they're all, I mean, we all could tell you at least 10 things that would help
Mhm.
them in the vocational. So this would help also in your program, is to be able to bring them out to the next step. See, it's a continuum that we're building here from the early stages to when they are self-sustainable. That's the whole concept. And your part is developing right here.
Mhm.
So
So
we'll be doing this part over here to add to what you're doing.
So
It
beautiful.
does have people that come in from the UN and the farming industry who support them in creating sustainability and to
Oh,
create
okay.
incomes. And what some of them have done is work with their parents
Ah,
to
uh-huh.
create those streams,
Yeah.
right?
Okay.
So
Good.
she has that in place. She also has in
Okay.
place where she's tracking their progress.
Okay.
Because every coach, every week when they meet, they update a sheet of where these people are. At the end of the 10 weeks, we get to see their journey. And if we see that somebody's kind of lacking or still being shy or something, either Suzi's head coach or Suzi herself will step in and have a conversation with them to have them come out a little bit. So usually by the end of the 10 weeks, there is a pathway that they have picked. And that's what I meant by when I said people are bringing in their siblings. So through their siblings, they're still continuing to do the course
Mhm.
and they're continuing to build income sources.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
huge. And she won't mention it, but we do look for sponsors on her website and stuff. We'll have them
Okay.
sponsored like for data packets, phone with the NGOs. We're working to see how we can get iPads and stuff for people that are like siblings coming into the course instead of staying on one phone to learn everything. If they have an iPad, it makes it so much easier for them. So these are the projects that she is working on. I know she's working on those.
Okay.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
All right.
Okay.
Well, guys, it is time for us to end our call. And what an absolutely amazing story. It will inspire many. And thank you for everybody for joining us. If you love these episodes, please, please, please share them with your friends, share them with your neighbors, share them with your community, share them with everyone you can share them with. And please make comments. Please make comments. And if you can, if you have a LinkedIn, go out and post it. Once it's up in YouTube and you have the link, go out and post it and let people know so that it goes out into your sphere of influence. Okay. We do these Mondays and Fridays. And guys, every episode is so amazing. And Suzi, you were so amazing as a guest today. And I look forward to learning a lot more about what you're up to and how we can collaborate. So thank you again for an amazing episode. And guys, let's thrive together. Bye, everyone.
Instead of this one